Greetings and salutations, my lovely viewers, and welcome to my review of the anime series Mahou Sensei Negima, a show about schoolgirls, child wizards, and glasses so ridiculously small they're about as much use as a DVD rewinder. Produced by Studio Xebec and released in 2005, the story follows the life of 10-year-old magical boy protege Negi Springfield, who in order to become a master wizard has to work as a teacher at an all-girls middle school, and deal with the utterly insane students of Class 2A, cue awkward harem romance, magic battles, and hilarious antics from children who have clearly eaten too much sugar. And that's about it for the plot, so without further ado, I'll talk about the characters. And there are quite a lot of them. In fact, honestly, I found it hard to keep track of all their names. But, as an example, there's Tsundere Girl, Shy Bookworm Girl, Obligatory Lolly Vampire Girl, Sword Girl, Mad Scientist Girl, Chobits Girl, Dead Girl, Sharingan Girl, Eye Patch and Mustache Girl, Turn to the Dark Side of the Force Girl, First Black President Girl. Alright, I got carried away and made some of them up, but it's like I said, it's hard to keep track. Anyway, whilst this show doesn't hesitate to bring out all the usual troped characters, and most don't get a lot of backstory or development, all of the girls are enjoyable and funny to watch, with their over-the-top personalities that you can't help but giggle or at least crack a smile at. The only character I didn't really like was the main one, Negi, and even then it doesn't really count, as I couldn't find a real reason not to like him, I just didn't. So, all in all, the characters are quite the motley crew, but, in my opinion, that's a good thing. And now comes the soundtrack, and I can safely say that I loved it. Really, it was the best part of the show for me. The variety in the music is huge, and it fits both the comic and the more serious moments brilliantly. And rather than use massive orchestral scores, this show seems to have mastered the art of the catchy jingle. Seriously, I had to ram a screwdriver into my ear just so I could stop hearing them over and over again in my head. And the opening was pretty catchy too. But, music aside, I watched the sub version, and unfortunately, none of the voice actors really stood out to me. There wasn't a single character I could say delivered a performance that made me sit up and take notice, which is quite a shame as I feel like it's a missed opportunity. But as it's a show full of puns rather than dark, serious moments, I guess it's not such a huge issue. And besides, the music alone really was enough to win me over. Let's talk about the animation, shall we? Because this was a huge letdown. The character design is lacking and the backgrounds are generic. Not to mention sometimes it's drawn so lazily that the characters' faces look like they've been hit with a shovel. And I know it's a 2005 anime, but there's no excuse. Berserk was made in 1997 and looks much better than this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not unwatchable. After all, I watched this as a kid. But it just feels like there wasn't much effort put into the characters. Although one redeeming quality was the animation used in a lot of the cat fights, which I found to be pretty cute and hilarious. There is, however, a remake of the series called Negima! And whilst I haven't watched it, I have seen pictures of it, and the animation in that looks 100 times better. So if you really can't stand the older and slightly lazy animation, you could give that a try instead. Well, before I have angry animation artists kicking down my front door, I should probably move on to the summary. This show is technically quite flawed. From an objective and critical standpoint, the show wouldn't rate very highly at all. Choppy animation and a failure to get depth out of the characters, as well as a plot that doesn't really go anywhere, all make it sound pretty terrible. But if you ask the most important question, did I enjoy it? I think you'll find the answer is yes, I did. And really, that's what matters the most. So while it's not a masterpiece, it is a fun show, and perfect when you'd rather have a chuckle than watch something dark and depressing like the 6 o'clock news. So, would I recommend this series to you? If you like middle school girls and 10-year-old boys, you're pedo bear. But even if you're not, then yes, I would definitely recommend you give it a watch. Overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10, making it a good choice for when you've finished burning ants with a magnifying glass and laughing like an evil deity, and you need a series to watch.